if Allah wanted to have a son without a wife, he is able to?
Of course he is. Listen to me. God gives the same example to the Christians. How can God have a son when he doesn't have a wife? And God doesn't need to have a wife in order to have a son. The reason God gives that answer to the Christians 2,000 years ago, because a primitive man could only think that a child came from a female. And that's why God gives that example. Do you understand? If you don't understand that, you will never understand anything.
Okay, wait. So in that example that you're saying he was explaining to the primitive man,
Yes.
he wasn't saying that as a reason why he doesn't have a son.
No,
it was just an
because
example.
he was telling a primitive man that I do not have a wife. That's how can I have a son? Because for him to understand, from a primitive man to understand, not for God, because God today, God can have a son without a wife. He can have a son, of course he can, but he doesn't. And from a primitive man to understand that a child came from a female, he had to give an example. It is simple.